Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the New York City Schools Board of Education to order at, No, I was just pacing myself. 6:32 on a Monday evening. Mr. Valadez, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Blind. Present. Mr. Blowers. Here. Ms. Nicken.
Here.
Mr. Weber.
Here.
And Mr. Carr.
Here. Mr. Weber, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. We are gifted this evening with a student presentation. Am I correct on that?
You are correct.
Students, this is your-
So step on up, young ladies. I'm going to have Rita Woosty and come up with, we have Carrie Dietz and Claire Schaefer, and also Whitney Bobo, so all four. So we have 2 staff members and 2 students. And we've been talking a lot about how busy and how many opportunities the summer presents for our students. And so these are 2 students, not only in the summer, but during the school year, and they have some great plans, and they're great student leaders in our building, Liberty Middle School and Newark High School. And so if you step up, they're going to share with the board. Why don't we go, Claire, why don't you go first, please? Step up, tell us who you are.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Claire Schaefer. I'm in 7th grade at Liberty Middle School. And I've been fortunate enough to do a lot this summer with New York City Schools and Highland Software. This summer I went to a STEM camp at the high school, and there I did biomedical engineering. Biomedical engineering is the application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology for healthcare purposes. And I would usually do like coding or robotics, but I figured I'd try something new just to see if I'd like it. We had a project where we had to build a prosthetic hand for a girl, and we built it out of minimal supplies. We built it out of popsicle sticks and a 3D pen, rubber bands, Q-tips, and house supplies like that. And I also have done Girls Coding for a Cause, and I got a paper about it, and I thought it would be fun to try. So I did that, and I did a project. And it basically is the basics of Java. So it's not like the easy drag and drop that has like one word and that will program like a cartoon or something, but it's not too hard to where it's like the JavaScript and all the words and everything. So it's like kind of right in the middle. So it's cool to get back to the basics and everything. And I also went to Highland Software for a camp. I got invited to the middle school high-tech on-base camp. And I can see why they try to get girls to code more. There were 16 boys and 3 girls, including myself. And we went to a room with a bunch of computers. We learned a lot about Alexa and how the Alexa is a virtual assistant developed by Amazon. And so we programmed some code. They had the basic code there, and we would just program it to our liking. We did 3 skills. The first one was a hello world skill. We would say Alexa, and it would say hello world or anything we programmed it to say. The second one was a fact skill. We would have a topic. We would list all the facts about the topic that we knew. And so if you would say like, Alexa, give me a fact about Albert Einstein, then it would give you the fact that you programmed it to say. And the third one, we were the only one to get it because we made it further and did it a little bit quicker. We did a higher low game where Alexa would think of a number. We would try to guess as to where the number is higher or lower. And that was a really, really cool at home too, so you can do it all at home. And I have a little bit of code here. And also during the school year, I do first Lego League Robotics and pre-engineering. I also do Science Challenge Club. And after school, I do perennial math, and I was actually the perennial math champion of last year.
That's impressive.
So we're gonna,
Yeah, and we can.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
as Whitney's walking up to the computer, Whitney and Rita represent dozens of staff members in our district who, in the summertime, have stepped up and worked very hard to present these wonderful opportunities for our students.
And just to give you guys a background, we collaborated with NCWIT, which is the National Center of Women in Information Technology. And it's a nonprofit organization that I worked with. A colleague of mine from Ohio State, she now works for NCWIT. And she's the one who brought this to my attention. So we applied for a grant for one of their aspiration grants. And that's what we were rewarded to in order to have this Girls Coding for a Cause camp. And that paid for our pre-engineering major from Muskegon, Regina Baker, who helped us out. And she's the one who actually taught the coding class to the girls. And we also funded lunches and all of the swag with that grant money as well to do this program.
So if you notice, this is actually her coding that's behind the scenes of this animated video. Every single little movement, the scene, the characters was code. So just to give you an idea that it is a short video, but it took a long time to write all of this code and to put it in.
Another statistic, in 2017, NCWIT says that 26% of computing jobs were held by women in the workforce, and that of that, less than 10% were held by women of color. So their goal is to encourage women from middle school through high school, all the way in through college, to try computer sciences and try it out and become more empowered to go into those majors.
So we had 17 middle school girls participate, and we had 3 high school like helpers with us. They all picked up a social cause that they wanted to make their videos on. So hers, obviously, we had animal extinction, pollution, feminism, healthcare, hunger, the water crisis. So they picked something that they were passionate about, and then they used the coding program to make their videos. And then we had a presentation for the public on Friday where everybody could come, enjoy lunch, and watch the videos. Claire also wants to show you real quick her Alexa code.
This is basically what I did at Highland. So we have the basic code, and I did what it is in red here. And so this one is specifically on having the right pet for you. So based on what you talk about, Alexa, it'll have a quiz for you on what you like and how active you usually are to get what kind of pet. So you can say like, Alexa, find me a large dog, or like, find the right dog for me, and it will automatically find it for you.
And then one of our high school helpers, we had to share with Carrie Leeds. So she's going to tell you a little bit about everything she's done.
Oh, good evening, I'm Carrie Dietz. I'm a senior at the high school. My STEM journey began shortly after I transferred into the district in 7th grade. Prior to that, I hadn't had much of an interest in STEM. And I signed up for STEM Fest, which is hosted by the Works annually. It's a competition for middle school and high school students to enter different design challenges. One they have annually is a toothpick bridge, and then they usually have a chemical engineering-based design challenge and a mechanical or electrical-based design challenge. So I entered that 7th grade as a way to look to make new friends, meet new people. I was kind of interested in the STEM aspect of it, but not as much as I found I would be once I started. I entered and made a toothpick bridge in 7th grade. I did the same thing in 8th grade. My team got back together, and it was a really cool experience for me. It was amazing to have the New York City Schools staff kind of behind that. It was my first time getting into STEM with New York City Schools, so that was really incredible, and I discovered I have a deep, deep passion for engineering. I can't get enough of it. I think every part of it is cool. So I continued on with that in high school. I participated in STEM Fest again my freshman year. I'm super grateful to the staff members who helped out with that. I've had a number of teachers stay after school to make sure I've had someone to help out and supervise and put up with my team's antics because we get a little goofy when we're working. So freshman year, I worked to build a water filter made with simple materials including charcoal, bleach, cotton balls. That could be used, and they tested the water to see how clear it was. They tested the taste. Very, very brave doctor from Denison tasted everybody's water. And they ran it through the filter and determined how clean the water was. It was a different type of experience from the toothpick bridges. I got into architectural, and we went from architectural engineering to more chemical, looking at what different amounts of bleach would do to the water, how different materials would react with water. And then my sophomore year, I enrolled in the Engineer Your World 1 class. Newark High School was the first high school in Ohio to offer the class, and I took it the second year it was offered. Ms. Stein teaches it, and she does a fantastic job with it. It's a class designed by the University of Texas to help get high schoolers interested in engineering and to help them dip their toes in the waters of all fields of engineering. We did a little bit with chemical, we did a little bit of architectural, we did a touch of mechanical. One of the big projects we do in there are earthquake-proof buildings. We build models out of balsa wood, and we test them using quake tables. We determine how much the building moves and how much weight the building can take, and we adjust the buildings to make them shorter, more stable. Or the project we had, the buildings would have been in India, in the mountains, where there would have been a lot of snow. So to eliminate weight, we had a slanted roof that snow would slide off of, so that way the buildings would not shake as much. Another project we did was the pinhole camera. We designed a small camera that we could take outside. We determined the necessary aperture size, the distance we would need to be from an object, and how long it would take for a picture to be taken, how long we needed the light to expose the film within the camera. And we built those cameras out of Tupperwares and duct tape and black paint and shoe boxes. I didn't think it would be possible, and then we were out there doing it, and we pulled out some pictures, and I was like, oh, okay. And then fell in love with that. I did STEM Fest again in My sophomore year, that year, I started in with 3D printing in the makerspace, got to play around in there a little bit. I didn't do very well. It was my first time ever 3D printing, and I learned that doing it for a competition is probably not the best time to start. But I learned a little bit about the different programs you'd use to 3D print. I learned how to use the printer, and I learned a lot about the makerspace. It's a really, really incredible thing to have at the high school. I enrolled in Engineering World 2 last year, and that one was very, very heavy coding based. We coded Arduino units as well as Raspberry Pis. Arduino is a more basic form of code. It's the way to enter into coding language. It's similar to Java, which is used by a lot of the bigger companies. We got to use it to code music, and we coded a motion sense table. So you would move your hand close to a sensor, and the distance your hand would determine the direction the table would turn. So if your hand was really close to the sensor, the table would turn to the right, or further back, it would turn to the left. And we also got to play around different speeds. If your hand was really close, it might spin super fast. If your hand was further away, it would go a little slower. And then with the Raspberry Pis, it's essentially a computer, but it's entirely, you would have to plug it into a computer to use it, but it's a completely separate unit from a laptop itself. It connects to the Wi-Fi on its own, and we got to code on that using Python, which is another coding language used by a lot of major tech companies. And that was a really interesting experience for me. I had never coded before. I really, really enjoyed it. Using Python, we did a photo editing program where we could upload a picture, and then we coded track bars that had different color values on them, so you could drag the mouse along the track bar to apply different color values to a photo. So it was a very, very watered down version of Photoshop that we got to create. And we also did a rocket launch at the end of the year, which was really cool. We did water bottle rockets. We had a little bit of electrical engineering component inside the rocket with a unit that would track how high the rocket would go, what speed it would travel at. Some of our rockets hit 70 and 80 feet in the air, going like 50 miles per hour, so that was really, really fun. And there was also more of a mechanical engineering aspect to that, designing the rocket itself and applying water to it and applying pressure to the water to launch the rocket up into the air. So it was nice to have that after a lot of heavy coding that year. Something really, really incredible that I know that all of our engineering classes are super grateful for New York City schools. A friend of mine, Drew Gully, and I wrote during the year a proposal to purchase new computers for the engineering classes because we found that the computers our class had weren't fitting our needs. So we did some research and we found some options for schools, computers, that would fit our needs, that we felt could be in the budget of New York City schools. And we wrote a proposal, we created a spreadsheet, and we sent it to Ms. Horgan, and we were super grateful to hear back within like 2 weeks that we were getting the computers, and we created a list, and we had our highest, what we thought was out of reach on the list, down to like, if we get anything, like just these would be better than what we have. And we heard back within 2 weeks that we were getting our top choice computers, and they've been super, super helpful in getting us moving faster in the classroom. They work better with coding. They can run multiple programs at once, so we can be researching code errors, different things for our projects. We can have a program open and running that we are coding. We can run a different program to test the code. All at the same time, we have our Google Classroom opened up so we can share our files with our teacher. So that has been a huge, huge part. Last year, I also participated in STEM Fest once again, and I did a chemical engineering project where we synthesized the polymerization of a polylactic acid, and we worked on that for 6 weeks. We stayed after school, and we created a biodegradable polymer using starch. So the polymer could be used in creating food, packaging, different things that are easily disposed, and this plastic would biodegrade, so it's not as harmful to the environment. And that project, my team tied for first place, and all of us received scholarships for that. So that was very exciting. And this year, I'm in my final year of Engineer Your World. There was not a class written for Engineer Your World 3, so I'm doing an independent study, and it's following guidelines similar to those of the Capstone project. And this year I will be working on one project for the first semester, and I still need to do some research to decide what it is I want to do second semester, if I want to do a project each quarter, or if I would like to do another project for the semester. Over this time, I've also gotten to present all of these at the STEM showcases at New York City schools, which I love, love, love. I love seeing what the middle schools have been working on, because the pre-engineering classes weren't at the middle schools when I was there. So it's really cool to see what they're getting into and what they're going to be bringing to the high school. Claire is an amazing coder, and it's really, really nice to see that that's coming into the high school. So thank you guys for everything.
Karen, ask your question. What else are you involved in?
I'm involved in Key Club and Honor Society, Student Council, I play soccer, and quiz team.
You don't mind, if you get involved in something, we'd appreciate it. You
Yeah.
get involved a little bit more. Mine.
You probably have at least one night.
I would just say that this is, when I'm sitting here listening to Claire talk, that's our measurement, that's our great part here at Newark. And it's kind of neat because of somewhat the generations of students, where we had talked a lot about Willie Henderson, a Naval Academy graduate, who's a nuclear engineer on a ship in Japan right now, and listen to him and see where we were at when Willie was here, which wasn't as where we're at right now. The neat thing is here's another generation coming out of here and the experience that Carrie had. And it's neat to see where Claire and her group is going to take our district even further by the time Claire stands up there and does that. And so, what did you want to do when you're out of school?
I want to study biomedical engineering.
Biomedical engineering. Claire?
Computer science.
Computer science. So we hear people talk all the time, and I know Miss Horgan and I back there probably 7, 8, 9 years ago now. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was when we started talking to folks out in the Licking County workforce, and we needed more engineers in Licking County. And I know Marcia Downs has really done a fantastic job at the works. They're saying we need more female engineers. And I've always said, I don't know how many more engineers we're going to produce in Newark, but we're going to expose our students to that career. And it just makes me so proud to hear, because you speak with a lot of enthusiasm about the program you've
I
got in there.
love all of it.
Exactly, but I appreciate you spending time that way. Board, any questions?
What are your university aspirations?
My top school is University of Cincinnati, but I'm also looking at Ohio State, Purdue, and West Virginia University.
At the moment, I want to go to MIT or OSU or even Case Western.
I knew that. She had sent me a letter, and I was so impressed that someone in 7th grade would be thinking that far ahead. And it's very impressive. Any other comments by the board?
Those are some wonderful schools.
Yeah.
Not easy ones to get into, but I think you guys might do all right.
And I would share with our students, if they would, in our community, that we have, our staff members have committed to giving our students these kind of experiences, but we want our community to know how much our Board of Education is behind supporting these type of ventures for our students. And we're not a normal school in terms of, we're not done May 30th anymore. And as you can tell from that, and we are growing a lot in the summertime, and our board supports these programs and initiatives that we have going on. So we want to thank you for that. Carrie, Claire, if you would, shake the board members' hands and tell them thank you for those opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good work. That is, I guess, Matt, are we back? That is, I mean, I don't know if we went to a commercial break or what. That is, that's just a small slice of what it is that we do, and it's amazing. And more, I want to thank you for driving a lot of that. I know you've got some wonderful teachers and folks who do that as well. And so it's amazing. When I was in 7th grade, it's like I was working with a protractor. I'm making little circles and stuff like that. So come a long way. Communication from the floor. If there's anyone who wants to address the board on any of the topics of the evening, especially this one, Ms. Tonga Sapp is applying for reemployment in the district following her retirement. You're invited to speak for 5 minutes, and all comments will be closed in 30 minutes. Is there anyone who wants to address the board? Seeing no one, treasurer's recommendation.
Yes, we have letter A, from letter A through H this month. Letter A is the approval of board minutes for the August 13, 2018 regular meeting and August 24, 2018 special meeting. Letter B is the approval of the fiscal year 19 temporary appropriations resolutions. Letter C is the approval of the fiscal year 2019 permanent appropriations resolution for the fiscal year 2019. Letter D is the approval of August 2018 financial statements and payments to vendors. Letter E is the approval to pay invoice to the Ohio Department of Education related to the new Digital Academy. F is the approval of agreement with the auditor of state. Now, this year, we are being audited by the state instead of a third-party audit firm. Letter G is the approval of agreement with the County Educational Service Center to serve as the Business Advisory Council. And letter H is the approval of Phoenix Central School agreements to provide their breakfast and lunches for the school year 2018-19.
Okay. Treasurer's recommendations A through H. Motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Warren. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Tom. Any discussion?
I just want to mention the invoice of the Ohio Department of Education. The ones of us up here know, but I don't think others know. This is about $400,000 that we have to pay back that was paid to North Digital Academy last year. It comes under the heading of ODE CYA. You know, you look at the job the North Digital Academy does, one of the best in the state, and they've decided to go on online time, forgetting that these kids spend some time in the classroom with their teachers and stuff. You know, it just, to me, it's just a misjustice that we have to pay money back for the job that operation does. So there, I did it.
Anybody else with a comment? What's What's that?
Is it anything positive?
I was just going to second your comment, so, but we will go and call the roll, please.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nakam?
Yes.
And Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, under retirements and resignations, I would point out the work of Barbara and her group. You know, we talk about the summertime for our students. It seems like every year we're getting folks resigning later in the summer and hiring more staff members later in the summer than we have before. And that's challenging, but I really felt confident, comfortable with that young group that we had come in this year. And so I know Barb's group worked very hard to do that, so thank you to that. So under resignations, we have a bus driver, we have LaShawna Jones in food service, and also Taryn Nichols. Taryn would be 8/28, not 8/24, under the resignation date, and she has chosen to go back to school, which I think she should. Tremendous worker and a good young lady. Supplemental contracts for the head swim coach. Also, the appointments and assignments are also on here. Supplemental contracts under item 4, we do have Jennifer Bricker with the marching band, symphonic band. But also on there is our after-school folks on there that Gemma's group has put together. That after-school program, I believe, starts in
September 24th.
September 24th for our students, for the after 4 elementaries, 2 middle, and our high school. And it's a good staff of folks to work with our students. And again, that's paid for through a grant, our after-school grant. We have the salary and position adjustments, also the substitutes. Under other, approval of job abandonment from an employee, extended standard training is also under there. So items 1 through 8 under A.
Superintendent's items A, 1 through 8. A motion for those, please. So moved. Thanks, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bev. Questions or comments on superintendent's recommendations? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nakam?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
And Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, under item B, students and or students in curriculum, we have our agreement with the Ohio State University, which is one that we do every year for audiology services. Agreement with Interim Healthcare. I want to clarify that that's for guest nurses. That way, providing we cannot find one ourselves, do not anticipate using this service a lot, but we can't leave our students in buildings without healthcare. I have mentioned before, that's not something we plan on using a lot, but it is an option for us. Agreement with Step by Step for about 3 to 4 students down there, which is Boundless now. Under Other, agreement with Catapult Learning. We used to put employees in that position, but now Catapult does that for us, and that is a service we are required to do at Blessed Sacrament School. And out of state field trip, our basketball team will be going Friday, November 30th through December 1st to Kentucky to play in a tournament, which I would imagine will be very competitive for us. I know JR will put them in that spot. So.
All right, superintendent's recommendations, B and C. Motion to pass those. I'll second. Thanks, Tom and Mike. Yeah, Mike, whatever. Famous football player. Everybody has those days.
You're right.
Why is mine on camera? Millions of emails. Millions. Any questions or discussion? All right, call the roll if you will.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nakam?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
And Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Board of Education reports, anything? Or, and then Mr. Blowers, board discussion.
It's been a good day. So that presentation by the young ladies, Claire and Carrie, was amazing. If I could type out the word "wow" on the computer, I don't think they'd have a font big enough. It was just, I couldn't believe how they presented themselves. They stood there, very clear, just wonderful presentation. That's all I had to say tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to reiterate basically what he said. The job Claire and Carrie did is just amazing to me. Reminds me, a couple of years ago when I spoke at Junior ROTC, I said that ultimately it's the students that make or break a program. When I listen to these kids, young ladies, you know, it's like, it's no wonder we've got excellent programs, because we've got excellent students that are challenging them, making them get better. And it's just amazing to watch them. That's about all I've got.
I went to Liberty Elementary School.
Legend. Legend.
Legend. Y'all make mistakes. Never anticipated. I got a chance to take my grandson to school, and I was impressed with the teacher at the door, opening the door for the students, greeting the parents and the students, walked down the hall, and the teachers were smiling and greeting the students. And so when I came out, I stopped one teacher in the hall and then one at the door, and told them I appreciate the fact that they were there. Kids were excited about going to school. Parents were smiling, and I think, Doug, you're right. A smile goes a long way, especially with the parents and with the teachers. It's hard to resist a smile, even on your worst day. So, and I pass it on to Doug, and he passed it on to the principals, and I think that's the way it should be every morning. It doesn't take much. It takes more time to frown than it does to smile. Plus, it gives you wrinkles. That's it.
Okay, so also very impressed with Carrie and Claire, but I did want to touch on a point that Carrie made. And by the way, I saw on Twitter this past week, she got another scholarship. I can't remember what it was for, but that girl's racking up the scholarships. That's very impressive. But Carrie mentioned multiple times appreciation. She mentioned teachers that stay after school with her. She mentioned Ms. Horgan, who reviewed their request and granted it. And I think that it's, and not just in the program, the STEM programs that Carrie and Claire are in, but I think our students really, really, truly know that our staff members care about them. And I think that is part of what empowers them to be successful in these programs, in all the programs. But I think it was very nice that Carrie showed that appreciation. And I think, like I just said, many of our students truly do feel supported and loved by the staff members in Newark City Schools. And I just want to thank our staff and our teachers and our administrators for that, because the students have to believe in us to be successful, and they do believe in us, and I think that shows. And so thank you not only to these students that are succeeding, but to the staff members that not just for this program, but stay after school with kids and give encouraging words in their classroom and listen to the students and try to meet those needs. And I think Maura would express that they've driven a lot of these STEM programs that we've created. We don't know what the kids want, but we ask them, what do you want? And they say, this is what we want, this is what we need. And Maura and her team and Amy and different ones find a way to do that. And I'm very appreciative of that. So I just wanted to thank our staff for that.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a year now in Newark City Schools, I asked my daughter, what's the difference between your school that you left 9 years in there, and now 1 year in New York City schools. And one of the things, because I want to make sure that her transition was going to be smoothly, because sometimes it's hard for teenagers to transition to different schools, especially when they've been for so many years in one. And that's one of the things that she said that makes it a lot easier for her was the transition, because the teachers really put a lot of attention in making sure that her transition was smoothly, and they really care about her being well and the decision being well. So that's a testament of all the, how well the teachers really do care for the students in our district, and that's very impressive. And I'm very pleased for that, for her too as well, that she's very happy on that. Looking forward to the school year 18-19.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that caught me in the presentation tonight that I wholeheartedly believe in, because I watched this with our STEM Fest stuff, is the way our students present things. I was very impressed with that, but not shocked by it tonight, because I've seen that over and over. And I know one of the things we talk about is that it is really neat to be at a STEM Fest and you have 7th grade students presenting to high school students without a worry. And they're so confident in what they're doing. And the other side of that is the way our students listen to the students that present and help each other out. What we're really talking about here are a lot of soft skills that our kids are developing in our programs right now. And those soft skills include how to be a good teammate and treat people with respect. And you can see that in Carrie tonight. But it also touches on what Warren's talking about. And that's kind of our promise, I would say, to our students and our families and our community here. You will be greeted in clean, friendly atmospheres in our buildings. And it goes from our staff members to our community members to our students on how they treat each other. We're really focusing on how we start our day off. And that's a big, we're proud of our breakfast program, but we're stretched beyond that now. How are we talking to each other and greeting each other in the morning? And so skills that they'll take with them in life. So wonderful presentations, but that's a product of our programs that we're doing now, because we're putting students out to present. I couldn't have done what either one of these two did at their age tonight. My engineering in high school was trying to fit a 9-inch circumference basketball in an 18 circumference hole, and that's it. I should have had these girls helping me out a little bit more, but I do appreciate that. So, another thing that I'd like to mention, because it's a tough area, our Student Services Department received the top rating from ODE this week on how we do our business in that. I want to congratulate Mindy and her staff for that. It's always good when ODE sends you something and there's nothing but praise on it. And there's no action required or anything that way. And it's because of Mindy and her group dotting their I's and crossing their T's, but more importantly, taking care of our students and their families in that department. So Mindy, congratulations to you and your group. And then a huge thank you to our community for the start of school. It's not easy getting 6,700 students around the district and in buildings, and those students move around, and we sit here and talk about a lot of good things that we do in this district, because we do a lot of good things. We were awfully challenged with our transportation. I had to apologize a lot this fall. When your phone lines and internets go down, you get a new transportation supervisor and a new secretary out there. We still want to make sure our children get delivered where they're supposed to be on time and that. So we joked today, we were out at Hillview this morning presenting Meredith Kucherenko with an award from the Licking County ESC. And they have a bus that was late because they had a substitute on it and it was challenged a little bit. And it was the Turtle Bus. So we got to name that bus, because it's been late more than once. Something different than Turtle, and maybe it'll get there on time. But and then I'll end with I talked about that promise that our students will come into that, and we continue to promise that. I said every time I see these students present and this kind of stuff, our students are driving our curriculum. And you saw that tonight. And that's something I'm most proud of in this district, that we don't drive the curriculum. Our students are pushing us. And you watch Claire talk tonight, and you sit here and you think, wow, what are we going to have to offer in high school when Claire and her group is there with the experience that they're getting, and now the experience that our elementary students are getting in this. And so what we're offering at the middle and the high school, that's a challenge for us, and it's a fun challenge. I think Maura would agree with that, because these are fun things that they're doing, and they're driving that for us, so it's neat. It's a great time to be a captain.
It is. 12 years old. They're probably 12 years old, maybe 13. And that those kind of skills, amazing stuff. They're both Carrie and Claire. I know the one thing that stuck out to me was the small percentage of ladies that are in that workforce. And there's that thought says, well, that's because guys are more wired to do that and stuff. And the technical term for that is hogwash. The girls can do that. The girls can do that stuff.
Yes.
And seem to be doing it very, very well. So also, just shout out to some fellas who got to ring the victory bell on Friday night, which was a pretty cool win for our Wildcats. The guys there have been working super hard, and it was wonderful to see them put together 4 very excellent quarters and good stuff there. I know it's coming, but band contests are coming. They're going to start traveling, and they're here, I think, in October. But plays are coming. I mean, it's just going to start picking up. So there's always something to do. There's girls and boys soccer. There's the tennis matches. You've got the volleyball team are competitive, and so every night almost of the week there's something going on at Whitesfield or in the gym or on the tennis courts, and not to mention all of our middle schools. So go out and support those youngsters, watch it, see how they compete. I was impressed with the football players that they were helping the other guys up and patting them on the helmets and things like that. They played with a lot of class, because for a team that had been so challenged like earlier this year, losing a couple of close games. So they did a really nice job. Proud of them. It is a great time to be a Cat. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Tim, I failed to mention one thing. We talk about it's a great time to be a captain. And I always say, fact is, it's always been a great time to be a captain. And I just look back at the Admiral Kelly, who was a 1980 graduate of Newark, who spoke at graduation. And then this past weekend, as I'm watching Ohio State play, a graduate, and I'm not sure what year, but a graduate of Newark High School was inducted into the Ohio State Athletic Hall of Fame, Ray Hupp, and for track and field. And Ray is one who I see attend some of our events down here. I don't believe he lives in Newark. I think he lives in Columbus, but I see him down here. And that was kind of neat to see Ray Hupp from Newark, Ohio, Newark High School, Newark, Ohio, inducted in with a lot of prestigious folks. This year he was inducted with James Laurinaitis, a football player there, and some others. So that was something worth noting. It's quite impressive.
Anybody else second chance? Okay. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second for that?
Sure.
Thank you. Well, no, I was just thinking last night at the business meeting at church, I didn't get a second on the adjournment, and I'm going, folks, we got to stay here. The motion can't die on the floor. Come on. Help me out. So we got a second. That's good. We'll know if you call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Glauber. Yes. Mr. Blind.
Yes.
Ms. Nathan.
Yes.
Mr. Weber. Yes. And Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Adjourned at 7:22.
We're